It's already been a big day. But we do have one more thing.
3 years ago we heard one more thing at an Apple event for the very last time. Since then the device has already managed to flop. And from the looks of it, they aren't going to develop it any further. In this video, I want to piece together a picture that you might find a bit sad. We're going to figure out where the theater of the tech industry actually went and why we will never return to the emotions of the early 2010s. And no, it's not because of boring Tim Cook and the greatness of Steve Jobs. Think about it, how can you possibly surprise viewers with the new iPhone Ultra when channels like VPT have already practically announced it twice? We even know about the supply chain issues and the chance it might be delayed to next year. While Steve Jobs built this aura of extreme secrecy around new products, many people suspect Tim Cook of using controlled leaks as a marketing tool to influence investors. On top of that, the company has grown and supply chains have gotten insanely complex. Where hundreds of people used to work, now there are thousands. Apple used to be a speedboat, now it's a massive slow-moving tanker. But unfortunately, all of this fails as an explanation. Sure, it's the comforting version. In that story, nothing really changed. Surprise just got inconvenient and expensive, so they quietly dropped it. And that's a nice story because it means nothing actually shifted. Not the gadgets, not us, but something did. The Vision Pro and the iPhone 4 are two prime examples of why things aren't that simple. Apple managed to keep the Vision Pro a secret. But before it, we went 6 long years without a single one more thing. And after it, another 3 years of silence. The headset itself flopped and had no meaningful impact on the market. Meanwhile, the iPhone 4 had a massive leak back in its day. We all remember the famous story of the prototype left in a bar and Jobs' reaction trying to sue everyone involved. So here's the reality. Even with perfect secrecy, we can't seem to get a proper one more thing anymore. Yet even with massive leaks, we used to get them.
Stop me if you've already seen this.
If you ask me, leaks are just substitute for the lost excitement of these keynotes, but they are definitely not the cause of that lost excitement. On the other hand, I am full of excitement. I have quite a few ideas in the works for future videos that you're definitely going to love. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss them. And maybe it's completely normal that as we get older, there is just less excitement. When your audience is young, loud, geeky cult, you can afford to experiment. You have a team of visionaries. Your audience is ready for revolutions, and you easily push the boundaries of the entire market. But when you grow to 1 billion users, the demographics change. The larger the audience gets, the more conservative it becomes. It starts resisting radical changes. Take my favorite, the iPhone 4. It was a brilliant design, but it only lasted a few generations until the iPhone 6 came out. Each generation had a short lifespan. The design changed radically and boldly. Now look at the iPhone 10. Since then, the only truly noticeable visual change was the switch to flat edges on the iPhone 12. And since then, pure stability. Years and years of the exact same safe silhouette. Same goes for the iMac, the Mac Mini, and now the Mac Studio, which is essentially just an extension of the old Mac Mini design. How many recent experiments have actually expanded the market? We've already discussed the Vision Pro. The last truly important new Apple products were the Apple Watch and the AirPods. That was more than 10 years ago. It makes sense that 10 years of failures is a pretty good reason to stop trying and finally adapt to the new reality. The only blast from the past is the iPhone Air and upcoming Ultra. It's that very surprising and new form factor that sells pure emotion and experience, not just dry optimized specs. But it's not the main lineup. It's very expensive niche experiment where the users are now the ones paying for risk. Apple used to risk its own skin. Today that risk has been shifted onto our consumers' wallets. I think this is the answer to what actually happened. We hit design maturity. And the facts show that maturity isn't about design becoming perfect. It's about the audience expanding and shifting demographics alike. But could it have been different? Is it possible to grow your audience while staying true not to the masses, but to the core values that built your success in the first place? Could they still think about us, the geeks and enthusiasts? Staying true to geeks means remaining a niche product. If you want to see what a company looks like where it does everything for enthusiasts, look at teenage engineering. It's breathtakingly beautiful, it's pure art, but it's not being used by your mom, your boss, or a billion other people. The hidden cost of design maturity is that Keynote magic didn't die because Apple ran out of ideas. It died because technology became infrastructure. It turned into electricity, into plumbing. We don't gather around our screens every September to see if the water company came up with one more thing for our pipes, do we? We just need the water to flow, and preferably the water company wouldn't peek at us while we shower. It's an obvious wish. It even sounds silly, but for some reason, when it comes to another basic utility, email, we think it's perfectly normal that tech giants like Google have the right to look at our personal lives and use them for profiling and targeted ads. Your data is you, and you deserve the right to privacy. The sponsor of today's video, Proton Mail, will help you exercise that right. In 2014, a team of scientists from CERN decided to build a service where privacy is the default. The team is based in Switzerland and uses zero-access encryption. That means only you have access to the content of your inbox. Even the creators of Proton couldn't read what you write if they wanted to. Proton Mail automatically strips all hidden pixels and trackers from your emails. Corporations will no longer be able to find out when, where, and from what device you open their newsletter. Your inbox is your territory alone. Switching over can feel scary and inconvenient, but Proton has an excellent built-in migration tool. You click a couple of buttons and it automatically transfers your entire email history, contacts and calendars from Gmail or another service. It takes less than 3 minutes, and all your emails are forwarded to your new inbox. And you don't have to cut ties with Gmail overnight. In a few clicks you can connect your Gmail account to Proton Mail, then send and receive emails from your Gmail address and manage everything in one secure inbox without disruption. Take back control over your privacy. Follow the link www.proton.me/designlovers and create your free Proton Mail account today. You can also find the link in the description. Back to the video. We caught the era of tech theater right at the birth of the industry. Now we're looking at the shadow of a dead culture. And our fond memories make us wish things could go back to the way they were. And maybe it's finally time to stop expecting a miracle from these September events. There is no need to be mad at the Tim Cooks and John Turnuses for not being Steve Jobs. Because this industry doesn't need a Steve Jobs anymore. Just like it no longer needs a Johnny Ive. We need to start looking elsewhere. I don't know about you, but personally, I don't want to feel design mature. And I have no desire to study the theory of bureaucratic processes. That's why I'm looking for new visionaries. And despite my age, I haven't lost hope that maybe someday I could become one myself. At the same time, I'm deeply convinced that this desire comes with serious existential risks. Jobs took those risks upon himself, and his biography, including his early passing, is the realization of those risks. If your ambitions, are you ready to take on the risk of such a high price? Watch my video about it right here.